And I say
Sorry.
it's okay. I say, we're bringing these into senior living, but we're bringing these into our lives in general. So the partnership with Atrium Health and Best Buy is finally looking at infrastructure change and how to support consumer deployment of technologies and implementation of new solutions, and then brick and mortar to support those solutions. And, Instacart Health at CES announced food as medicine programs with the White House, and looking at how are we taking technology and it's just tech enabled solution for delivery of things like food and nutrition and important things for all of us wherever we happen to be aging. So I think it's really important to look at what startups are doing outside of our industry and help bring them into our industry to support our efforts and our initiatives within senior living. And so the Good People Retreat coming up is super exciting for me, because the pitch competition, I would highly suggest, if you have any new innovation, whether it's a technology or whether it's just a new solution that might be shifting how we look at providing service and touching the lives of the people we serve in senior living, I suggest applying. Now, this is for startups, so there are some of you on here who are already fully fundraised and wildly successful already. And I think you bring great experience and expertise to these startups. But we need to also provide that feedback to the startups who are pitching. So anyone who has an operator hat, an investor hat, just a successful story that can give feedback and support for these startups, I think is also extremely exciting in how we're going to do the Shark Tank style event, because it's not going to be just a couple of voices giving feedback, but really how can we shape and mold these individual startups, the founders that are so passionate, the products and services that they're building and creating, and how can we give them feedback to help them succeed in this very unique market. We have a very unique audience of both caregivers, employees, staff, infrastructure, the regulatory and reimbursement environment, depending on where in the continuum you are. As well as just the unique needs of the individual, of the mature consumer, and how we're supporting them across their lifespan and wealth span. So I'm super excited about the upcoming retreat. If you haven't been to one, I really suggest you come. You're able to really share conversation and meaningful experiences together so that you can make an impact with your own business, as well as find collaborative opportunities to be able to move forward in a new way with innovation, and in this realm with some technology and innovation with the help of startups as well. So I'm excited about the pitch. Meg, did you share the link with everybody in case they're a startup on the line interested in applying? I know we're taking applications now for those who want to pitch. I think it's really important to be able to get their voices heard, as well as get, in a small setting, in a really curated event, be able to have these startups get their solutions out there into the right hands and into the right collaborators and partners also. So Meg, I think you and Kane had some questions maybe, or do you want to take a look at who's in the room and see if we have questions in the room?
Yeah, absolutely. So please let us know if you have any questions. I think that I do see that there are some folks here who I think might be very interested in hearing from Sarah and possibly our Shark Tank event. So please raise your hand if you have any, or put something in the chat. One question I do have, Sarah, and is that, so I know you said that how the importance of this in the senior living space. Are there any examples or other examples that you can point to of folks that you've helped in the space that you think are, or that you know about in the space, who've gone through this sort of process, been maybe tutored by others in the field, who now are just, everybody knows who they are?
Well, I would say that it's been interesting to watch. So I helped at Aging 2.0. It's an association that started quite a few years ago. Some of you might know of it. We had 130 chapters while I was there around the world of age tech startups that had quarterly events that were unique to the regions they were in. So helping people with fintech and mobility and cognition and really anything, social connectedness, anything that was touching that area of need. And we had an academy, which was an accelerator program for 2 years. And I advised all the startups who were in there. We brought senior living partners in and distribution partners in to also advise and give feedback, sometimes just on the pitch. Let's refine their messaging. Let's make sure that they're not ageist. Let's make sure that they're supportive of the mission they're trying, and sensitive to the mission that they're trying to join us on. And so I think that feedback is good. If you look at someone like Sword, for instance, they used to do very early pitch competitions, and some of our senior living operators and providers implemented Sword in their communities. It's a wearable digital capture of movement analysis that helps to do physical rehabilitation in a remote way with remote support. And they were just little out of Portugal and had an idea, and it was a good idea. And then we piloted in several communities in the senior living sector. And then, now they've raised, I think, 110 million in the last year in capital. And so they're globally known and really spreading around the world with their digital solution. But it all started really with talking to senior living operators. What do people need? How could this help the people that they serve? And so you can start small, think big, and really go far with opportunities like this, and like the think tank style pitch competitions.
Excellent. And so I'm going to put somebody I know who's on here on the spot. His name is Joe DeMatos. And he was my one of my favorite instructors at the graduate school for the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, Erickson. It's the Erickson School of Aging Services. And he really got me motivated on entrepreneurship in the space. And he had us read some great books and had lots of great discussion. And one book in particular that he had us read, and I'm hoping he will talk, was Startup Nation. And it's about Israel and how they sort of seem to be an incubator in entrepreneurship. So if you're able to, Joe, would love to hear from you, your thoughts on all of this. And you've been in this space for so long. Would love to get your input on it. I'm happy that you're here. Is Joe gonna...
Meg, can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Joe.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you. Yep.
Well, Meg, you really did put me on the spot. I didn't know you were going to be here. I was intrigued. I was really intrigued with the announcement for this meeting, and so the Zoom today. And so I made time for it. And even at this point early in the discussion, I'm so glad that I did. It's already been really content rich and really motivating, and I'm interested in the event that's coming up. Let me say this about the time that we're in and about Startup Nation, and just spend a minute on it. I just think we are in such a fertile time of necessity to together manage change, focused on quality, innovation. And I think tech is so underutilized, specifically in the long-term post-acute part of healthcare, and sky's the limit. And so I think we find ourselves at a time that is extraordinarily interesting and rewarding and encouraging, and at the same time filled with both upside and some downside. And I think that fits well with the book Startup Nation. So Startup Nation is a book written about how little tiny Israel, about the size of New Jersey, with a population maybe a little bit bigger than Maryland, is the entrepreneurial startup capital of the world. And really, there are a couple of reasons for that. Two that I'd like to share for today real quick are that they embrace failure. They get out, they fail quickly, and they try again. And it's a cultural norm and a value to just sort of keep trying, that sense of resilience. And then the mandatory military service there means that people build relationships early in life through the mandatory service and the IDF, and they build on those relationships. So the notion of building relationships early, growing together, taking a responsibility to mentor, along with the value of trying and creating and being that entrepreneur and realizing that failure is part of success. I think all of those are lessons for our sector right now. So Meg, thanks for putting me on the spot. I hope it was valuable for the people online.
No, thank you so much. I appreciate it, Joe. And I will say that Joe's day job is president and CEO of the Health Facilities Association of Maryland. So
thank you all.
Thank you. And I'm going to
Thank you, Joe.
I looks, Paul, you had a question. Do you want to ask your question?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate everybody getting on the call. Sarah, good seeing you again. Just, the question is broad in that the think tank that you guys are conducting, what's the basic premise behind that? Is it to generate just a collaborative effort with synced ideas? Is it help with funding for the startup? Just a general idea of what's your purpose there.
You want to talk about that? Okay, I will. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, well, I can jump in and just say that with good people, what I'm trying to do is connect the right people in our industry trying to do positive things. So I am learning as we go. I'm learning about what this is going to look like. I'm learning from Sarah every time I get to talk to her. I'm learning from all of the collaboration that happens to make these things happen. So I'm learning from this as we go, Dr. P, and I'm trying to figure out how to help everyone make this all happen. And so I'm just very thankful that we have Sarah and her expertise involved to help us get this thing rolling. So this is a super exciting day for us. This is we're coming out of the, here we are. So I'm not exactly sure what it looks like. Maybe Sarah can jump in and help
Sure,
us
yeah,
explain how we can, yeah.
No problem. I just wanted to make sure you had opportunity to speak to your goals. I think, can you hear me okay? I'm getting an echo. And can you hear me?
Yeah, you're better now.
Thank you. So I think that early stage startups who are not funded yet or not well funded yet don't have the opportunity to get in front of the right players because they can't afford the large booths at the conferences. They don't know who the influencers are or the decision makers are. Even navigating how do you speak to the right person in the senior living operations who's going to be the decision maker, or how are you going to look at funding? What do you need for proof of concept? As Joe just mentioned, that mentality of failing fast and scaling fast. It's looking at what can you actually test in the market with a little bit of calculated risk and early adopters supporting you, so then you can make those decisions to change the product, adapt the product to the true needs of the environment or the user. How can you partner in the right ways and create infrastructure and support for the company as it grows, not from just a product perspective, but a company perspective? And how do you succeed in this market? And then who are the players to make those purchasing decisions, to be able to implement and integrate? And then also who are the bigger investors to help you to scale? And at Good People, we tend to have all of those people in the room, or representation of all of them in some capacity, but it's rare to get in front of them early. And I think startups often miss the boat by not getting the right people influencing the product development or their process early enough. They're in their own echo chamber with mom fell and I have an idea and I'm going to fix falls for everybody. And while that's well intended, there's so much more to it than that. So I think Good People, has been really good to connect people early on in all of their phases, to have great, meaningful conversations without such a large audience that there's risk involved with brand failure, or you're not going to get out there and embarrass yourself. It's really collaborative space. So I think it's mostly to be able to get, hey, you're on the path. Here's how you might want to stay on this journey with us to make something that we actually need at the end of the day from the operator perspective, or something we want to invest in. I'm a venture partner with 2 funds, and I only want to look at things that are going to be helpful and meaningful and be able to scale. But if I could start early by giving them advice on the path they should go on, it's much better. I'll talk to you in a few years when you get there, but let's stay on a path that people actually want the solution you are creating. So I think mostly it's the collaborative nature of good people allowing the pitch to be heard early on and for us to provide feedback.
It's great. Thank you. It's a great model. I appreciate that.
Thanks, Sarah. And I'm posting again a link to our brochure, if you will, that is our about it. It has more details about it and explains what we're looking for and how to apply. So, you know, when I was another question. Anybody else have any questions? Certified. Oh, we have a CNA. Hello, welcome. Someone just posted in the chat, and I'm not sure how to pronounce their name. Afolabi from Nigeria, certified healthcare assistant. Welcome. It's great to have you. I was at the ASA, the American Society on Aging meeting just a couple of weeks ago. I know you were there briefly, Sarah. And I took a walk through the exhibit hall where the age tech was, and I saw some really fascinating things. And I saw something, maybe you know about it, called artifacts, which I thought was really fascinating. Are you familiar with that one?
Very, very familiar. Yep. They came through Techstars and also are a part of Age Tech Collaborative. They're great. And what I love is that, you know, you, Meg, you don't love the word age tech. It's a category. And so it's a category similar to what we didn't know what fintech was until we did. And it's a category. So we have a place to put it all. But what I love is that it's not always tech forward. Sometimes it's tech enabled around a solution. So something like Artifact is actually very emotionally connected into capturing someone's personal journey and capturing and storing physical products and things within their environment in a digital way that they can then relive while they're downsizing, want the family story preserved, and some of those really meaningful ways of using technology to do something very emotional and service oriented. So that's a great example of how it's not just tech for tech's sake. It's something that's meaningful to the individual.
Right. And then I saw another one that I thought was, I can't remember the name of it, but it was, I think it was essentially a robot, but it looked like a side table that moves. Does that sound familiar to you? I can't remember the name of it though, but it seemed also very cool because it could go, I guess it learned your room, and then it obviously, because it's a table, it looks like a side table, but on wheels, obviously, because it has to move, and it can go to various places to bring you things. Does that sound familiar? I thought that was very cool. Also, I don't know why, I just did it. So
yeah, there's several robotics out there. So there are a lot we're seeing from hospitality. This is probably Labrador, and it's also
yes.
Yeah, so they're kind of hitting the senior living market pretty strong. Partnership also with AWS, and you can look at kind of the Amazon feature. They were at CES, actually featured in the Amazon section. That's a great example of partnerships that, you know, you start as a startup, but who do you want to tag along with from the big guys to be able to also move things faster within your startup? And then, you know, how can you serve people? And you really need the use case to be meaningful. So I think it's important to get senior living operators to try these things and to see what works and what doesn't work.
Right. Oh yeah, someone has their hand up. Jeff, go ahead.
Hi, it's great to be on here. Kane had offered the invitation for me to join, so it's great to listen and learn. I'm curious a little bit. We're probably a hybrid. So worked in senior living for years, but from the support side and with tools and technology, specifically around hiring, training, development, we've done that for years. Did that very successfully, and now we've got two new programs that they're proven products. Both of them are less than 5 years old, but they are in other verticals and they're very, very successful. And so we have made a very concerted effort this year to bring both of these solutions to the senior living market because we know that it can make a difference, but we are focused on the human capital side. So while you guys are talking a lot about great tools and technology that help operations and supporting residents and things like that, our focus is on the people that make all these things happen every day. And so we have a couple of different programs. One deals directly with workplace misconduct, harassment, bullying, discrimination. And the other, the program we're honestly super excited to launch as we speak, is around the power of human connection and addressing mental wellness and the power of community and connectivity for staff and caregivers. And so as I look at the criteria, we're not a startup company. Our company's been around for 15 years. We do everything from hiring to unemployment for organizations. But these programs, there's nothing like it. There's literally we work a lot with municipalities on the workplace misconduct, and they don't even have to take us out for bid because there's literally not another company that does what we do. So do we fit within a Shark Tank mentality because these concepts are new and unproven to senior living? Or do we fit somewhere in there differently? Because, this is an area we love to serve. It's a personal story for me. I won't get into that today. But why we do what we do is very tied to personal desires, like many of us that get into this industry. So long-winded question, but basically, do we fit the criteria, or are we kind of a hybrid that we need to find another way to plug in?
No, so I think we can follow up with you individually, specific about the pitch competition. We set criteria on purpose because we're trying to get early stage startups that don't have opportunity and funding from another vehicle to be able to afford attendance at things like this, or sponsorship, or any of the vendor kind of related activities. So this is for fairly early stage, but it is supposed to be a collaborative approach to be able for you to now learn this industry, because you're right. This is a people-centric industry, whether we're serving them or working with them. It's very, very the employees are very important. We talk about that mostly. I mean, these guys know that I invested in a staffing company during the pandemic because we couldn't find staff. And so we found them out of Mexico, and we care about culture and we care about quality. And it is a conversation that we're often talking about, even though right now we're talking about the older adult often. I think we should probably just analyze where you fit into the continuum, but we'd love to have you participate in some way in the Good People Retreat for sure. And we want to make sure that you understand this space because it is a different vertical than the ones you've been in. So I'm sure we can give you feedback and get the right people in the room to help you into this side and hear your personal story too, because it usually starts there.
Well, and that, like I said, we've been serving operators and owners for more than a decade. And so I'm very comfortable walking into a building and I get it. I know what it's about. We've worked with them. We've helped them attack turnover and things like that. We just have a couple of new solutions to really address the challenges that we're all facing today. Employees aren't okay. It's a struggle, and we gotta give them a place to go for some relief and some help and some community. So yeah, I'd love to visit more offline and happy to.
Well, thank you. We'll definitely follow up. And I would say that not just employees, but with the country right now at 43% of us being caregivers, we're all not okay in some way or another. So we need support. We need support mechanisms. So love to learn more about what you're up to, and we'll follow up with you.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Jeff, thank you for joining. Great job. Welcome to Team Good People.
Thank you.
We've got a few other people that I've had chats with over the last few weeks about this tank and that I see online. So I'm just going to start calling people out if that's okay. Maureen, can you jump in there? Nice to meet you. Nice to see you.
Oh, thank you, Kane. Yeah, so we are a startup. We opened our doors January 3rd, 2022. And we come with a lot of experience. What we built was a relocation company dedicated to managing the transition for seniors from their home into the community. We've had a really great year. We have over 50 client communities, soon to have 60, but we can't afford to get to these conferences. Every bit of revenue we're generating right now is going towards salaries, right, to fund our growth. And so we feel like we built a solution that the senior living communities have needed. I'm super excited that you guys would consider focusing on this because we've been heavily involved in the VC culture here in Chicago. We've had such great response. We're talking to so many people. We just made the short list for that Age Tech Collaborative program. We're pitching for Hearst Labs out in LA next month. We've got a lot of great stuff going, but What we didn't have was a space in senior living. We've talked to Ziegler, they love what we're doing, but we're too early for them. We don't have enough revenue, right? So we're at that stage where you just need that exposure to raise that additional capital and get in front of the senior living communities in a bigger way and in an affordable way, because we would love to be at all these conferences, but as you guys know, it's going to take a tremendous amount of capital to get out there. So love what you're doing, appreciate what you're doing. I can think of other people that I could share this information with that could benefit from this. And I think it's fantastic. I'd love to support you any way I can and appreciate it.
Thanks, Maureen. We definitely need, we need your presence in general, just in this space, because you're obviously on the road to helping bring a really powerful solution to people. So we'll watch your journey as you grow. Hopefully we can help to support it.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Maureen. So here's a nice little story. For 12 or 13 years ago, Mr. Larry Donnelly, who was on this call, was the gentleman that talked me into selling my small businesses that I was owning and running and coming into this industry. So Mr. Larry Donnelly, can you say hello and give us a little, I know you're working on tons of projects at all times. Maybe you can tell us about a couple of them.
Thanks, Kane. Yeah. Right now I am developing several different products. And one I am promoting, have no stock in the company, but it actually helped to save my wife's life. And that's called Constant Therapy. So she went through all the rehab at all the facilities and her brain function was just not there. And then when I started her on Constant Therapy, now she is, she was a quadriplegic. Now she's walking, talking, laughing. I mean, you name it, it's absolutely amazing for that product. And I'm donating, just spending my own time trying to promote it because it made such a difference in our lives for my wife. But we also developed an AR/VR platform that can be used to do master site planning. So you can plan a site, you can plan the architectural plans in a 3D environment. You can place equipment, you can do virtual tours. So literally it's could be a live virtual tour or a pre-recorded 3D virtual tour of the facility. Another one is a boot, because one of the things that happened to my wife was she had drop foot. I mean, her foot just went like that. So I started thinking, how do you combat that? And it's typically you put a boot on it, it's just static. So this particular device actually, while someone's sleeping or walking or watching TV, it just slowly moves the foot back and forth, and it has compression in it to reduce inflammation, edema, and potential blood clots as well. I could go on and on about the different products, but they're pretty much all focused in this world right now.
Well, I hope you're coming to the retreat. We have a lot of crossover, Larry, because I'm one of the first advisors of Constant Therapy back in Boston, one of the first companies I advised and in through their exit. And now I'm just so happy the impact that they're making, really extending the use of therapeutic modality. I'm an occupational therapist by clinical background, so very latched onto them very early on, and very much love the fact that years and years later, they've been making a difference in the world. So thanks for sharing your story.
Yeah, one other thing that I would like to bring up as well is a fall avoidance system that we had designed. And because I was in the hospital with my wife for 7 months, every now and then I would go home and take a shower. Every time I went, she would fall every single time. So I just said, I'm just going to live here. And I did, but I started thinking about that. And most of the systems out there, well, all of the systems, they'll tell you when someone falls. They don't actually stop someone from falling. So I just thought, what are simple things that are almost off the shelf products that can be assembled to work together, and including Alexa as well. So you can talk to it, turn it on, turn it off, see a live video feed if you're a caregiver, that sort of thing. So I'm sure we'll, talk a lot about the different things that from my experiences that I'm bringing onto the market through just practical applications.
Great. Yeah, lots of ideas. And if you were here at the beginning of the conversation, I'm at HIMSS with 40,000 other people who all have incredible ideas in a connected living environment, system, and otherwise. So love to share them, and hopefully we can chat more. Anybody who's on the call at the Good People Retreat in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, super. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Larry. It's great to see you. Dr. P, I don't know if your company is a startup. I know you partnered with a new company, a new venture. If you want to just maybe introduce yourself and the new co to the team, that would be great.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So I would say, based on your criteria, I just looked at it, we are absolutely a startup. So our focus really is bringing to the forefront the post-acute sector, what we call a business solution that emphasizes for the operator, the management, and then the heavy emphasis on those at the front lines, the facilities, specifically from a analytics platform to really just define from an evidence-based perspective on information and data gathering, so that timely decisions on how to utilize resources effectively for those who are not trained, for instance, dining services directors, maintenance, activities, marketing. They've been trained for their specific area of expertise, but really don't make good business decisions. And so that is a downside to what happens at the front lines. They're unable to effectively run a business. And if you can't run a business, then you can't deliver care. And within that umbrella, we've also have just launched our clinical systems program, so they work in unison. And the concept behind the clinical program, as you know, we've been depleted from a staffing perspective significantly in our industry. And so we put together an automated tool that really, it's agnostic to experience, agnostic to software. And so you can put this inside of any center and follow the prompts, and you reduce risk significantly, thereby improving care outcomes while also meeting regulatory compliance. And the goal really is the end user, which ultimately is the patient and the centers themselves, now have an opportunity to function at a higher level. And so we're excited about what you guys are doing. We'll certainly put an application in and do a pitch. But I believe Miss Longoria, Maureen had said it too, right? We have customers. All of our funding is really based on really building up the software and trying to manage the salaries, and we lack the funding really to get out and really propel the marketing aspect. And you said it well too, Sarah, just getting in front of people who know what next steps should look like and really make some modifications, because simplicity in my mind is going to be key to really being successful in this venture in our programming. If the end user can't use it, it's not simple, then no one uses it, and it's not a viable product. So we're excited about it.
Yeah, I always like to hear, what you're up to and how it's progressing. And the thing is, if we're not taking on venture capital, or we're not, taking our funding and applying it towards marketing efforts, then sometimes we don't get to hear the progress. And so I'm hoping that this retreat this year is helping to amplify the voices of some of the smaller guys who can't get the marketing campaigns out as much, but happy to hear your progress so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. P. Does anybody have any questions for Sarah, or anybody else want to introduce themselves or their company?
Hello.
All right. Hello.
Hello, everyone. My name is Afolabi Damalola. I'm an healthcare assistant. I'm from Nigeria. I came across Good People via LinkedIn. So I saw the invitations of this Zoom meeting. So I just clicked on it. Then I received the mail today about the meeting. So I'm I'm new here. I don't really know much, but I know good people sound so positive to my mind. So I just clicked into the link to join the meeting. So I don't really know much about the Good People platform, what it's all about and everything. So that was why I sent a message on the chat that I'm new in the group. That's all about me. I
Welcome.
work in
Thank
an
you.
healthcare, yeah, I work in an healthcare organization here in Nigeria, one of the Joint Commission International Organization, one of the best organization. That's where I work in Nigeria. So currently I'm assigned as a cardiology assistant. So I just wish to move on, to gain more knowledge in my career and in my job prescription. So I know everything about good people sounds so positive. So that's
you.
why.
Well, we got your email
Nice.
address, so we can send you more information on the organization. Thank you for sending your email.
Yeah, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. Yeah.
All right, well, if we don't have any more questions, we're gonna let Sarah get back to the Sims 40,000 people that need to talk to her and get to know her to do business.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for your time. I hope to see you all soon.
Sorry, I have a question.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
please.
So for me, I'm kind of, my story is a little complicated because I come from a corporate background where I left to do the things I'm really passionate about, and it's being a good person, but being able to share that as well. And the senior space is especially special to me, and that's why I'm here. But so I've been working in the last 3 years on building like a blog of my own, but also working within senior assisted living, just to get my feet wet and understand the industry more. But I'm wondering if you guys provide like a network of people to work with as well for founders and like co-founders.
I think if you actually, just like we found a lovely friend from Nigeria to join, I think if you follow the LinkedIn and social media, my opinion, and get onto the newsletter and kind of get the information from good people, you'll see all the people who regularly engage. And pretty much Kane's awesome about tagging the good people who are always willing to discuss and have conversations just offline, even not in the formal retreat. Of course, you're welcome to find your way to the retreat as well. But I think from my perspective, just finding out who's in that community, it's pretty organic. We just reach out to each other and support each other in any way that we can. So I'm sure that there's follow-up opportunity to help you through your journey as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, thank you,
Great
Sarah.
answer, Sarah.
And Stacey, I just want to add a follow-up question. You said you're a co-founder or founder. What is it that you founded? Are you speaking of the blog that you founded, or is there something you're thinking about? Yeah, it's something I'm thinking about after working within the senior living space. I have learned so much about like a lot of things that aren't, I guess, how I would view how we can respect our older adults, like, and creating or like even building technologies to be able to like create a more humane space for people as well. And so like that's the type of people I'm looking to work with. Well, that's fabulous. We're happy to have you then. And we hope, again, like Sarah said, we'll make sure that you get it on our email list, and we'll send you newsletters and notices of our future meetups, etc. So awesome. Thank you.
Thank
Kane,
you, Stacey.
Kane, can I add something?
Absolutely. Hey, Kelly, how you doing?
Hey, and I'm probably 5 floors below Kane. We're in the same building. It's kind of funny. So Stacey, my name is Kelly Strandberg. Anna Hall, who has worked in our space for a long time, and myself, we started kind of we'll call it a support group for kind of onesie twosie entrepreneurs. We meet once a month because one of the things both Anna and I were struggling with was sometimes it's a lonely island. And I think a lot of people out here can attest to that. So we get together once a month on Zoom, and we have a topic normally to kick us off. And then we just have open dialogue, like what are people's challenges, hurdles, pain points, successes. And so it's really just a time. There's probably never more than, we probably have 30 people in our group, but we probably only have 10 to 12 people who are on it at a time. And so if you'll ping me on LinkedIn, I'll grab your email. I'd be more than happy to have you be part of that, just because I think we all need support, because it's hard to be an entrepreneur regardless of your industry. And we just put this group together so that we can lean on one another, if you will.
Thank you so much, Kelly. But spot on. It is a lonely journey.
Thank you, Kelly.
Great. Thank you so much, guys. I need to hop, but it was wonderful to see you all, and I hope to see you all soon.
Sarah, thank you so
Thank
much.
you,
Great job.
bye.
Have fun over there. Thank you, everybody, for
Thank
joining. We'll
you.
see you soon.
All right, thanks. Thanks so
Hope to
much.
see everybody in West Palm Beach.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, that sounds good, Kane. Take care.